in a lot of ways, I was just like sleepwalking through life. Wake up, go to class, go to work, have the same conversations over and over again, totally not engaged in anything, go to sleep, wake up, do the same thing over again. And when I started to assess, like, am I showing up in life the way that I'm showing up on this yoga mat? Then it's like, well, if I try on the yoga mat, where else can I try?
You're listening to the Almost 30 podcast, a lifestyle podcast hosted by Krista Williams and Lindsey Simsick.
Tune in for a new episode every Tuesday to hear our honest conversations about topics like wellness, entrepreneurship, spirituality, and self-development with guests who are really smart, really inspirational,
and really fucking funny. It's real, it's raw, and it's unfiltered.
Inspired by our transition from our 20s to our 30s, we realize it's so much more than that. Our mission is to provide you with the tools, guidance, and motivation to help you navigate any transitions in your life and propel your personal growth.
Thanks so much for tuning into the Almost 30 podcast.
Here we go.
Hello.
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 Welcome to Almost 30.
Welcome to the Almost 30 podcast, y'all.
I thought you were going to say, yum.
Yummy. We are a delicious bite of fun.
Let's just use food puns.
Yeah.
She's salty. I'm sweet.
We're like Sour Patch Kids. We actually, me and Justin call each other Sour Patch Kids.
Really? Why?
Because we're salty and then we're sweet.
Wait, are Sour Patch Kids salty?
Oh, no, sour. No, we say sour. We say sour.
Oh, okay.
So sour than sweet.
Sour than sweet.
Because we'll like fight and then we'll like love.
Oh, I love that.
Mm-hmm.
That should be a theme at your wedding.
It is.
Okay.
He goes the other day, he goes, our relationship is built on combat. Because we like wrestle.
That's what a dude would say, you know?
We literally like wrestle all day.
He's like, what's the theme of our relationship?
Combat. Literally.
WWE. That's cute.
What's up?
What's up, everybody? Thanks for joining us. If you're new to the podcast, welcome. We're so glad you found us. If you haven't already, subscribe on iTunes and leave a review if you're
so feeling it.
Yeah, so feeling
if you're feeling like you like us.
Only if you like us.
Only if you like us. Also join the Facebook group.
Yeah.
Facebook group are such peanut heads.
Oh my.
Dude, some of the posts like give me pause. Actually, all of them give me pause.
And especially in the last few weeks.
Yes.
I don't know what it is.
Same. I agree.
I also think the holiday time is like a really, like emotional in a good way and not so good way time.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know? So people are feeling very vulnerable and it's been really, really nice. So join us in there. Just search Secret Almost 30 podcast group.
Yeah, people have been just being so extra supportive, so sweet, so kind. Like,
and it's not like inauthentic.
It's completely authentic. Like I can't even get over it. I'm loving it.
We're really lucky.
So join the Secret Facebook group right now.
And visit us on Patreon, patreon.com/almost30. We've
got videos coming.
Videos and bonus episodes, especially our throwback episodes, which no one has ever heard before. We're going to be releasing them.
I haven't even heard.
Yeah, literally. Same.
Yeah. I don't even want to hear.
We gave a little taste in our most recent solo episode, so check that out. How was your day?
Great. We had a great lunch.
Yeah, we had a great lunch.
This is how me and Lindsey lunch. We have lunch with someone. We get them talking so we can eat.
This
literally
so
we
crazy.
asked like 14 billion questions
as we were stuffing our faces.
The person we were eating with had sushi, ate 2 pieces of the sushi roll. Took the rest home. 2 out of 10. Took the rest home.
I've never done that before.
Me and Lindsey had eaten entire piece of pizza, the sides, and then I was literally had to leave to go home and eat 3 bars.
Did you? I finished one in the car.
I finished them all.
Oh,
that's how I am.
For you, I know. Get him out of here.
Literally, get him out of here.
Yeah.
I was like, let's just do this. I literally came home and I was like, let's just fucking get this over with, and ate 3 Kalumi bars.
Kalumi, they're collagen beauty bars. They're really good.
They're bomb.
They're really good.
They're bomb and they feel good. You don't feel like nasty after.
Yeah, I was really
love them.
I love them.
So check out Kalumi bars. Yukon syrup is what they're made with. Yukon syrup, sweet potato, collagen.
But they use the marine collagen.
Yes. Yes.
Which is really digestible and
so key.
What she call it? The phase 1 of level 1? Level 1. There's collagen.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's the best kind.
Yeah, it's the best kind.
But Krista and I have meetings at Erewhon for a reason. And it's to eat.
And so we
it's
can
to
eat.
Spend $30 on our own lunches.
Mine was $26 today and I was pretty proud.
Was 31. I got a soup, whatever.
The soups are so expensive. We should be able to make those on our own.
I can.
Yeah.
I totally can.
I know.
And I don't.
I know.
It's all right. What you gonna do?
What you gonna do? It was a good lunch, though.
It was a great lunch. All right. So today's episode,
I'm pumped.
we're jazzed. We have on Jessamyn Stanley.
Beyond jazzed.
Have you heard about Jessamyn Stanley?
She is actually my idol. Okay, I know that a lot of times I reference people based on their Instagram posts, but that's not everything. But her Instagram posts inspire the fucking shit out of me. She is so honest. She is so real. She is like so woke. Like I can't, like it inspires me to actually voice my opinion more and not give a fuck about it and be strongly rooted in my views. I love it.
Yeah.
Like she's the best.
Her writing is
Her
beautiful.
writing.
Beautiful. It's not just like talk for the sake of talking. You will pause.
Yep.
But Jessamyn, she has a new book out. The book is Everybody Yoga. Let go of fear, get on the mat, love your body. So she is a yoga teacher, and we talk about why she got into yoga, how she got into yoga, and actually the first time she fucking hated it, and was talking to us about that and where she was in her life. Really interesting story.
So she's an author. She is a yoga teacher. She is someone that has a great presence on Instagram. She is a body positive spokesperson. You know, I don't know if she would necessarily like call herself that, but she definitely, is an inspiration for a lot of women to more proudly accept themselves for who they are. And that's definitely what she's done for me.
Yeah. She describes her yoga practice. She admits, she's like, I don't have a perfect yoga practice. It's not about that for me. It's not even about the health benefits necessarily, although she's felt them and seen them. But she says that she is addicted to exceeding her personal expectations. Like that's what yoga is for her every time she steps on the mat. Yeah, this girl's real as fuck.
She's rad.
It was just like...
So we talk about her yoga journey, how that has impacted her. We talk about social media and the impact that it's had on her self-esteem, her self-worth, her self-confidence. We talk about, or we ask her how she gets her confidence and her body positivity. Like, where does that come from? We talk about her experience writing a book and the inspiration for this book and why she's doing it. And then another thing that we also talked about that was really interesting was how she deals with haters and criticism. So she's full-figured, as she says, or she's, curvy and amazing and beautiful. And so we talked a lot about the feedback that she gets and sort of how she handles that on a day-to-day basis. Because with 350,000 followers on Instagram, we wish that it could be a super positive place, but there are people there that surely take their time to be negative.
And she is based, and we didn't know this actually.
I think I made it in my head that she was in New York.
She was in New York, but she's based in Durham, North Carolina. So we talk a lot about that.
Creating community in Durham. So finding yourself and creating and cultivating a community in a city that's not a big city, and why she thinks it's really important to live in the smaller towns or the smaller places or places like Durham where you can really cultivate a unique perspective and really stand your truth in a place that really needs it.
All right, guys. So we hope you love this episode. Let us know what you think. Join the secret Facebook group. I'm sure we will be talking about it in there. Before we get to this episode, a quick word from our sponsors.
This episode is brought to you by Studio Sweden, SUDIO, Sweden like the country. And Studio Sweden honestly has the best headphones.
I'm obsessed with them.
Yeah, they're so good. I actually just got a pair for Justice League. He wanted a pair of wireless headphones that lasted for 8 hours, that were black, that were sleek, that were dope. So I got him a pair of Studio Sweden headphones, and he is a diva about his tech gear. So he loves his headphones so much. So they have the best, sleekest, high quality headphones you can buy. And we are actually obsessed with them. So we have a code for Studio Sweden, 15% off with the code almost30. So you can get your pair of wireless headphones, of cord headphones, or of those big headphones that you can have when you are working at your desk all day or on the plane.
What I love about them, 8-hour battery life. Because I don't want to charge it all the time.
Because I work out for 8 hours at a day.
Yeah, literally 8 hours.
It's pretty sweet.
So again, what's the code?
Almost 30. Are you guys surprised? 15% off, almost 30. Studio Sweden headphones. We love them. It's Christmas time. Give your family some headphones.
This episode is also brought to you by Hum Nutrition. As you guys know, Krista and I turn to Hum Nutrition for our vitamins and supplements to help us feel beautiful, and it starts from the inside out. We are loving our raw beauty powder this time of year. It's kind of a nice dessert. So if you mix it, blend it with ice, almond milk, or any nut milk, whatever you want, it's just like a nice way to satisfy your sweet tooth, you know. And we also love the red carpet, which has been the reason why our hair is just so nice and thick. Not to say that I brush it often, but it's still healthy. So we're loving that, and we love the collagen as well. And the Beauty Z's. The Beauty Z's have been helping me to sleep. I've been like a little anxious, so it's been a really nice way to quiet the mind. It's almost like a melatonin feel, but without like the drowsiness in the morning. So we know you guys will love Hum Nutrition. You can use our code almost30nation for 15% off your first order. So almost30nation, 15% off your first order at humnutrition.com. Check out the website, and you take a short like 2-minute quiz, 3-minute quiz, and a certified nutritionist will recommend like 3 to 5 supplements that would be great for you. You can add to the order, take away, whatever you want. So hop onto humnutrition.com. It'd be great to start for the new year. Let us know what you think and what you like and what you're taking.
So Lindsey and I lived in New York for a while, and like the subway, it's just so different. Like the subway is so crazy, but then you're not really doing anything, so you could chill.
And you can be productive on like emails, whatever.
And do your thing. And like here, it's like you have to be active when you have to obviously be like paying attention when you're driving, as much as I wouldn't like to be. But it's like so much more draining.
Well, and that's the thing is that it's more draining, and it's also more emotionally draining because you're having to, as you're driving, like you're trying to manage whatever the fuck happened before you were driving, whatever you're going to do, stressing about the time, trying not to get hurt or to hurt anyone else. Like,
literally.
And it's like, I mean, I find riding the subway to be so just, I also hate that because like you are so, it's a weird kind of alienating where you're surrounded by people, but also alone, and everyone is like carrying their energy from the day, and you're just trying to get to wherever the fuck, and you're totally out of control of the transit. So like whatever is going on with like the trains that day, or like with the just the whole traffic of it, you're totally out of control of that. And so it is very stressful as well. But I do think that and Los Angeles traffic in particular is like really, because traffic is getting bad everywhere around, like in all of the big cities. It's so bad in Austin and in Chicago. Like it's so, in Seattle, it is nightmarish. And it's San Francisco, what the fuck? But Los Angeles, I don't know what it is. Like
It's
don't know what it is.
It freaks me out. I'm like, yo, what are we gonna do? Like as a society. I was in like Detroit like a few weeks ago, and there was so much traffic. I was like, yo, Detroit has traffic. Like, what are we doing? Like, I don't know what the fucking plan is, to like fix this.
I love that it happened. Like, you're like, wait, Detroit has.
I was like, what? I thought they were like fucking with me. They're like, yeah, there's going to be some traffic. I'm like, I'm from LA. You don't know traffic. And there was like traffic.
I feel you. Totally.
How do you try and protect your energy on the subway at all? Like, do you do anything to do that?
I mean, honestly, so I don't live in New York. I think that's did y'all think that I lived in New York? Ooh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. I am so happy about that, because then that means people don't know where the fuck I live. I'm so weirded out by, did we already start? Oh, yeah.
We're recording just, we kind of freestyle, We freestyle.
Yeah, I love that. So, no, I am so freaked out by the amount of access that people have to my life that I've received so many letters from people where I'm like, how did you get my address? This is not appropriate.
Wait, tell us more.
Wait, shut up.
Tell us everything.
Oh my God. So many prison letters. Y'all don't even know. No. I also now get prison emails. That's a thing.
Wait, they have access to computers in prison?
I'm so confused. How do they find you on Instagram?
I don't know how these things happen. Some people say they read an article about me that was in the newspaper that I guess they had. I mean, honestly, I'm glad that they have access to so many resources, because they're I've heard some of the most amazing stories that way. People are really, I mean, regardless of whether or not you did something that was worthy of going to prison, you're still a human being who's trying to make it through life. And that's generally the situation when you need yoga the most, because people who are in prison, they're having their dignity and their humanity ripped away from them. Our society is so disrespectful of returning citizens. And that's really what they are, is that they're just trying to come back to society. So they'd be like, yeah, I read this article about you. And then I've always wanted to get into yoga, or I've started practicing mindfulness, spirituality, or whatever. And I'm like, that's sick. My only issue is, why do people have my address?
Oh my God.
So anyway, I don't live in New York. I do. I could live in New York. I have to go there all the time because I don't want to live there, because the energy in New York is fucked. It is so everybody is just the energy of that city is power. Gaining power, having as much of it as possible. And so everybody is on their grind. And it is very inspiring in terms of entrepreneurship. And especially it means that you have to creatively always be thinking a step ahead, even just to get to and from, in terms of being on the subway, or you have to always be creative. But it also means that you're never in the present moment. And I feel the only way that I can be present is if I am surrounded by my community, and if it's moving at a dramatically slower pace, and I have to be able to prioritize all manners of spirituality. And so that's why I still live in North Carolina. It's something that, I mean, I think it's helpful that I live in a city that is very close to an international airport, and also that I mean, there's a lot of different things that make it particularly ideal. I mean, so I live in Durham, North Carolina, which is definitely becoming really popular with New Yorkers, actually, because they're it's so much less expensive to live there. And it's hour and a half flight from New York. So they're moving down here, and they're just oh my God, everything is so cheap. It's so great. And I'm it was cheap, but now y'all came down here and you're used to paying $3 million for a closet, and now you come down here raising the rents. What the fuck? But
anyway, wow, y'all didn't ask. You're I love my community, but please go back.
Also go back.
What is your community like there? What is the people that you've curated around you? What is your community like in North Carolina?
So Durham in particular is a city built on creative entrepreneurship. Everybody who lives here is doing their own thing. And that has to do with the presence of the different universities. So Duke University is in Durham. Teachable Hill is like right around the corner, and that plus a bunch of other schools. But that plus there's a big tech industry here. There's a lot of space for like freelance work, and so everyone is literally like starting their own thing, and the community really supports that in every single way. And the people that I spend time with are people who mostly people that I've worked with here, because like again, it's a very small town that is getting bigger rapidly, but it's a pretty small town, and so I mean everyone doesn't know each other, but you run in the same circles with people, and I've been really blessed to be surrounded by like very like creative people who also have to get their bills paid. And so before I taught full time, I worked in a restaurant, and so a lot of my friends are like people that I worked in service with, or like people that I went to school with who relocated to this area. And it's like a very like everybody. I'm not really friends with that many straight people. I was just thinking like everybody is queer. I don't know. I mean, I think that like we're just all very, very much trying to understand who we are and trying to reflect that into the world and doing it in different ways that can be meshed together. But mostly we're just like trying to build something really bright and positive. And I think that that's not really the impression that people have of the South in general. And that's part of why I continue to live here, because I think that everyone's like, they'll be like, yeah, if you're a liberal thinker, like if you are a, if you like to have fun, you need to live in a big city. Like you need to live in LA or New York or whatever. But it's like, there's fun shit to do everywhere. Like literally everywhere. Like in the most random places. It's really fun. So you can't worry about that. Ultimately, it's like, where can you have an impact and where do you have community? And I think that as a liberal thinker, as someone, I would consider myself to be very progressive. I think it's really important to like stay in areas where like your action counts, like your activism counts. It's not like you're in a choir of people singing the same song, like singing the song of alleged tolerance and, trying to be whatever. It's easy to do what's right when you're surrounded by everybody else who's doing things right. But like when you really have to push against something, it's harder, but it makes more of an impact. And I feel like being able to be in a community like this, I feel really blessed to be in a community like this.
That's so crazy, because I literally was thinking that 2 days ago. I was like, I love California so much. I never want to leave. But I was thinking, I was like, I love that everyone thinks the same way I do. And then I caught myself thinking that. And I'm like, if I'm thinking the same way everyone else is my voice best used in a place exactly like you said, where everyone's thinking and doing the same as I am doing, or in a place where people are doing something completely different, or they need my sort of opinion the most. Although that's like a very egotistical, it's like kind of egotistical for me to think that, like they need my different progressive opinion, but it's true,
Yeah, it is though. It's like, I don't know.
Or like a voice of compassion and being open and kind of like learning from one another. You know what I mean? Showing people that there is like thought outside of like what they may be thinking. So I fucking feel that.
Yeah. I feel like there's the line between being egotistical and being like wanting to help, I guess. So it's fucking razor thin. Like
especially like nowadays, you know what I mean? Like with like what's going on, like it's real hard.
No, and my one thing about why California is dope is that I really would not be upset if the whole secession thing happened. So like, I know it'll start a civil war, like that's annoying. But the thing is, I'm really concerned about a Handmaid's Tale type situation happening like to the country, and we're gonna need some safe spots. And if not, like I'm gonna have to go abroad. Have y'all thought about this? Go plan.
Oh yeah,
this is maybe going down the road.
Oh no. 100%.
I know, literally, I was just thinking, I'm like, damn, I'm like, we need to like take this back to like who you are and like your journey. Literally, like right when we started like kind of like talking a little bit political, I was like, we got to pull this back. Who are you? What are you about? Okay, so tell us a little bit about like who you are and like a little bit about your journey.
Yeah, so I am a yoga teacher and a writer. I've recently had a book come out called Everybody Yoga.
Yeah.
I call myself a body positivity advocate, not an activist. I think that activists, they are actively doing work, and mostly I advocate for this practice because it's something that has come up in my own life. I have always been the kind of person, I've been a self-hating person for the vast majority of my life. And I am, prone to depression and anxiety. And I started practicing yoga as a way to deal with those sensations. And it has offered me so much. It has really opened up my life and completely shifted and changed it. And at this point, I'm just trying to live my yoga practice. And if that inspires other people to do the same, then that's dope. But I'm just living my practice.
Who introduced you to yoga? Or how did you find it?
So the very first time that I ever practiced, I was 16 and my aunt was really into Bikram yoga at the time. Have y'all ever practiced Bikram?
Yes.
Yeah, not a fan.
It was a very intense experience for me, a very intensely negative experience. And I was like, I'm done with this. I'm good. I never need to try that again. Like, I hate it. Hot yoga is the worst. And I was in graduate school, and one of my friends, I was going through it. I talk about these things in my book, Everybody Yoga, but I actually don't go into that much detail about like what was happening during my life right when I started practicing again. And it's because like literally the shit that was happening to me has happened to everyone. Like, I was going through a breakup. My high school sweetheart and I had been together for what felt like a bajillion years. You know, like how time seems so long back then. But anyway, I was going through it with that. And then like, I was in graduate school, but I was really unhappy in my program. And I was really just depressed and anxious about my life in general. And one of my classmates was like, oh my God, have you tried Bikram yoga? You're going to love it. It's going to change your life. And I was like, I'm not trying that. I did it once before. I know it's not for me. And she just wore me down because they had a Groupon pass. And I was like, the worst that could happen. Like, go once, it's no big deal. And
go once, it's $10
for the Groupon.
Yeah. I was like, whatever. So I went and I loved it. It was still hard as fuck, hot as fuck. Everything about it was just dreadful. But it was amazing to be able to like push myself against a wall and just see what happened on the other side. It bloomed into this really deep love affair, but it was definitely not love at first sight.
I think I feel like that with yoga. People are like, I don't like it. Like, you have to like, it's boring or whatever. I'm like, oh, you haven't done it enough.
It's hard though to get past that first stage of feeling like, this is just really hard and I'm not good at this and I shouldn't be doing it because I'm not good at this. Because we so often in life only do shit that we think we're going to be good at. Like, we will not do things specifically because we think we're not going to be good at them. But what if you just did something not because you're going to be good at it or you're already good at it, but just because you just want to do it. Like, you're just like, I'm just going to try this. It doesn't matter. And that was the point that I had to come to with practicing, because the very first poses in that sequence seemed impossible to me. Like, I'm like 2 poses into the Bikram sequence and I was like, I don't know how, like, why am I even here? This class is 90 minutes long. It's hot as hell in here. And I had to stay here this whole time. And I would just be sitting there like mad at myself for coming, mad that like, that it was so hard, everything. And then eventually I was like, so like, is this how you're going to spend the entire 90 minutes? Just like talking shit and mad that the room is hot and like mad that you can't do it right now? Because you could also just try. Like, instead of talking about it, you could just try. And just trying was something that I really was not doing in my day-to-day life. Like, in a lot of ways, I was just sleepwalking through life. Wake up, go to class, go to work, have the same conversations over and over again, totally not engaged in anything, go to sleep, wake up, do the same thing over again. And when I started to assess, like, am I showing up in life the way that I'm showing up on this yoga mat? Then it's like, well, if I try on the yoga mat, where else can I try? And that kind of shift of the mind was big because yeah, you have, I guess, like this answer of yeah, you haven't done it enough, but also it's like, why are you doing it? And and if you change your mind about the reason that you show up, how can that change other things as well?
I love that. So you went to the class, you were like, I love this. And then what happened from there? Like, what made you want to be a teacher? And then now you have a book and you have like a massive social media following. So continue us on this journey.
So I'm just thinking about it. So I had decided to leave graduate school because it was making me really miserable. And I moved to Durham, where I live now. And when I moved to Durham, I didn't have any money. I didn't have a job. There was no plan. And so I stopped practicing yoga for a couple of months. And during that time, a bunch of sad shit happened. And I talk about it more in the book. But I guess most notably, my aunt passed away. And it was just really difficult for me to deal with. And I found myself slipping back into that place of depression. I was like, what was making me feel good before? Yoga? Okay, yeah, I'm just going to give this yoga thing a try again. And I just started practicing at home. And I would practice the poses from the Bikram sequence that I knew. And I started to learn more about asana and about sequencing and about different lineages. And it just grew into this like big, a love. Like I have loved yoga more than I've ever loved anything else in my entire life. Like any other, aside from like my biological family, it grew into this great love. And I started taking photos of my practice and putting them on social media because at the time, this is back when Instagram first came out. Now Instagram and Facebook and all this other shit, it's heavily monetized. Everything is editorial. The content is very specific. Like everything is attached to a larger thing. But when Instagram first came out, it was like just a bunch of college students, honestly. And like there were yoga people on there, but it was only very serious practitioners and teachers. And they were just giving one another feedback. And I wanted to feel like I was a part of a bigger community. And as time went on, I realized that the reason people were looking at my stuff was not necessarily because they were other yoga practitioners who were like going to give me feedback about my practice, but because it was people being like, I didn't know fat people could do yoga. Like, how do fat people do? Wow, how does that happen? And I'm just like, why is everybody so fucking basic? Like, why do you think that fat people can't do yoga? I'm not even a fat Black person to put pictures of themselves practicing yoga on the internet. Like, what? So I realized that like there's a major issue in our society with people just like having really low standards and opinions of anyone who is not a white, cisgender, able-bodied, heterosexual person. Like that's the only group of people that's allowed to do shit. And that if me living my yoga practice where other people can see it, can see aspects of it, then maybe that can, like, then there is a reason to continue posting. And I do think that if I hadn't had that kind of realization, I probably wouldn't still be posting on social media just because I don't care about it that much, honestly. But I feel like even having had this online following and things were growing and changing, I still had no aspirations of becoming a professional teacher. Like I would teach my friends, but I was not like trying to become a teacher. And I had so many people asking me to come teach them from all over the world. And I would just be like recommending other teachers, recommending online things, other studios. And because I didn't understand why I needed to be a yoga teacher. There are literally thousands of yoga teachers. So I was like, why the fuck do I need to be a teacher? That's not a thing. And like, I had other career goals. So I was just like, I'm not trying to do this. But then it just became so overwhelming that I was like, okay, yeah. But then I couldn't afford to go to training. This is the other thing. Like, quick tip, don't leave graduate school when you've taken out loans to do so. And like, I'm technically on a leave of absence from grad school, but like, I'm also paying for a degree that I haven't finished. So like, there's plus like bills from undergrad and like, and I also, lesser known Jessamyn fact, I went to culinary school. So like, I have bills from that. And I was just like, how the fuck can I go to a yoga teacher training? And I had 2 full-time jobs as well. And my dad was like, not in favor of any of this, right? And he was so pissed when I left grad school. His exact words were, "This is the mistake of your life." Like he was just, and he also does not respect the internet. And so even though I'd had like, you know, a lot of things were happening for me because of social media, he was just like not respectful of it at all. But one time I was talking to him, and this was after I'd had a fair amount of press notoriety. And I guess my mom had told him about it. And he was like, "So what's up with this yoga thing?" And I was like, "Well, blah, blah, you know, blah, blah, blah." I don't know why I'm giving myself this voice, but I was just like, "Oh, yeah, you know, this thing happened, blah, blah." And my dad's like, "So what are you going to do with that? Like, are you going to become a teacher or what's happening?" And I was like, "Well, I can't really afford to go, but, you know." And then he was like, "Well, how much money does it cost?" And I was like, $3,000. And he was like, "Well, what if we could find a way to get you the money? Like, would you go to training now? Would you go to training then?"
Oh,
and I was like, if this dude who has been against it from the beginning, like if he's saying that I should go, that means that I should go.
We interrupt this episode to bring you a word from our sponsor, Field Trip. Have we told you about this? It is happening February 22nd to the 26th at El Capitan Canyon. It is a collective festival where art, soul meet body and mind. It's never been done before. We are so excited. Just picture yourself becoming a greater artist. And we're all artists. You know, I think some of us tap into it more often and more deeply than others, but we all have it inside of us. And I think this is going to be a beautiful opportunity for those attending to just like be themselves and get really real and grounded in their creativity. We will be mingling and collaborating with the best and the brightest in the business. Teachers like Beat Simkin, who you guys know, she was on the podcast. Erin Outdoors, who is a master in photography. Zach Post, who is a master in graphic design. James Frost, who is a writer, English teacher. Elliot Ross, who is a master in lighting and effects. Just so many. There are photographers, musicians, magicians, designers, business gurus, outdoor adventurers of sorts. It's going to be really rad. So check out the website, yeahfieldtrip.com, YEAH, fieldtrip.com. And you can use our code almost30 for $100 off the ticket price, which is awesome. So check out the website, just kind of surf around a little bit. You're going to be blown away. There's so many teachers I can't even right now. Ansel Adams is going to be there. Wait, what? Sorry, I'm perusing the website. This is going to be insane. So join Krista and I. We will be there February 22nd to the 26th, 2018, El Capitan Canyon. It's kind of like Coachella, but without the Molly. And it's like a big kind of like summer camp feel, but with really inspiring artists. So can't wait to see you guys there. Yeahfieldtrip.com. Check it out. Almost 30 is the code for $100 off your ticket price. This episode is also brought to you by Four Sigmatic. Four Sigmatic uses the power, the magic of mushrooms like chaga, reishi, cordyceps, and lion's mane. Currently, I'm obsessed with the new mushroom matcha with lion's mane. Lion's mane is perfect if you need to really crack down and focus. It's like this super brain power potion. I'm loving it. You can just mix it with hot water. You can add a little almond milk, whatever you want. It's really easy to kind of create your own little elixir. I'll add a little cinnamon as well because I'm weird. But we are loving Four Sigmatic. Four Sigmatic has helped me to kick my coffee habit. I was jittery. I was experiencing a crash halfway through the day. I just wasn't loving how I was feeling on coffee. It would be kind of like this weird ritual, and I've kicked it. I'm over it. The mushroom coffee is so much better. They're elixirs, they're hot cocos, they're superfood blends, which I love. The beauty blend is awesome. The adaptogen blend is great. And they also have like these single sleeve, like these brain stick packs. So you can drop them into your hot water, your water, whatever it is. They also have it for sleep as well. But we just love this brand. I never knew the Mushroom Kingdom was so badass, you know? foursigmatic.com/almost30 and you will get 15% off your order. So FOUR Sigmatic, SIGMATIC.com/almost30, ALMOST30. Try it out. Let us know what you think. I think this is gonna like kick that coffee habit that you might not know is making you anxious and actually more tired later on in the day. Okay, guys? All right, love you.
I really think of myself very much in terms of pre-yoga teacher training and post-yoga teacher training, because before I went to YTT, I really did not understand the reason to practice yoga and the reason to teach it. I really saw my practice as something that, like, a thing that I do. It's primarily physical. Yeah, there are other benefits, but like, this is a physical thing that I do with my body. It was just like a very kind of immature way of seeing it. And during my training, I realized that the reason there have to be so many yoga teachers, and truly the reason why all of us should be yoga teachers, is because every single person has a journey and a story that is filled with fortresses and wrong turns and cracks and burns and horrible things and beautiful things. And our journey to understand ourselves in spite of and because of all of those factors is so tremendous. And that experience is worth expressing in a way where other people can experience it as well. Not so that they can feel a specific way about your practice, but so that they can start to understand a practice for themselves. Because if we are all living this practice, if we're all looking within ourselves for the answers to life's questions, and if we're all strengthening from the inside out, yoga can save the world ultimately. Like, this is, and in order to have that kind of connection, you have to live the practice at all times. And so ever since then, that has been my feeling, is that, like, you know, people ask me to come teach. Okay, I'll come teach. And I literally have, like, when I first came out of training, I asked, like, where do y'all want me to go teach? And the list is literally like every single place on the planet. And so I was just like, okay, I'm just going to try to work my way down this list. And then once I reach the end of the list, then I'll see if I still need to teach. And if I don't need to teach, then I'll move on and I'll do something else. But like, that's literally it, is that I'm just trying to reach the people who have asked me to teach them. And it's maybe impossible for me to go everywhere. And so it's important to have different ways that people can learn from me. So that's why I have online classes. That's why I wrote a book, so that people can. And I also wrote the book because I have been asked endless times how I started practicing yoga and how a beginner, a non-yoga practitioner can start practicing. I get this question literally all the fucking time, and I never have time to answer it, ever. And I was like, I don't have time to answer this question. I have to write a book. Like, the answer is so long. And so I was like, I'll just write a book. And so
you're like, check my book, bitch.
Yeah, because, well, no, it's just kind of like, if people send me the question, then I can just be like, you know what? You should go to Amazon.com and type yoga, and that is your answer. But yeah, so that's how all that happens. I hope that answers your question.
It does.
How has yoga changed your relationship with your body?
I mean, obviously, yoga has made me stronger and more sure of my steps and more willing and able to find balance. And made me just a lot more forgiving of myself. But I do think that it's still possible to have a horrible relationship with your body and practice yoga regularly. I see it all the time on Instagram, like people who like they are so obsessed with how their bodies look and shit. Like some of these pictures that are so like, they're just so perfect. Y'all don't know like the amount of time that these people are putting into these pictures. Like they want to, and especially when you like go out of your way to like make your body like especially glossy and like just like you're hitting it just right. It's like that takes a level of masochism. And I know this because I have done this. Like it takes like a level of obsession that is not good. So like, I do think that there are ways that this practice can, whenever you are solely focused on the poses and on the physical practice of it, it's very easy to not be able to establish a good relationship with your physical body. But ultimately, like, I do think that yoga speaks to truths within the self that really transcend the conversation about having a better relationship with your body. But I mean, there's no denying that yoga has had a positive impact on the way that I see myself. But I do think that what has had the bigger impact on my relationship with myself is actually acknowledging the moments of self-hatred when they come. This comes in a lot of different forms. One of the things that I talk about in the book is this concept of how do I look versus how do I feel? Like that in a given day, we will ask complete strangers, how do I look? Before we'll ask ourselves, like, how do I feel? And that the answer to how do I feel is a much better informant of like, what's actually going on with us. So there's that aspect of it. And then also, I don't know about y'all, but I say horrible things to myself about myself all the time. Like, it's so easy to be like, oh my God, my arms. Oh my God, my nose. Oh my God, my chin. Oh, my stomach. Just like you go on and on and on a million times a day. And when those moments happen, actually saying to myself, why are you saying that about yourself? Do you really think that your chin is too fat? No, you don't? Okay, then why are you saying it? Like, why are you being your own worst enemy? And that this shit can happen literally anywhere. Like, let's say that I am really hungry. Like maybe I've been practicing yoga for hours or whatever, and I want to go to Whole Foods and get all the food that's on the hot bar. And so I go in there, I'm loading up my plate, and then I'm thinking like, fuck, I shouldn't have gotten this much food. I should have more salad. That person over there is looking at me. They think that I should have more salad. Oh, I should do. It's literally stopping in the middle of Whole Foods and being like, do you want this food? Because if you don't want it, you can put it back. But like, do you want this? If you want to eat it, you should eat it. Why do you think you don't deserve to eat it? And actually having those conversations. And most of us are too afraid to have those conversations. That is scary. It's much easier to think like, yeah, maybe if I practice yoga for hours, then I'll feel better about myself. That's not going to help that. Or people be like, I'm going to say this mantra to make me feel better about myself. Okay, mantras are fun, but like you have to really take the moment that it's happening and really look at it. And establishing that as a practice for myself over the last few years has been very, very helpful. I don't think that I have figured out the big question of like how to always feel good about yourself, but I do think that these steps have been very, very helpful.
I love that. And where did you, okay, so on social media, and Lindsey and I now started being in the public, we get a lot of feedback and we get a lot of people that reach out saying X, Y, and Z, positive or negative. What do you, like, how do you respond to feedback, criticism, jail letters? Like, what do you do about all that information?
It's so unfortunate because I honestly just don't have time to respond to any feedback, like positive or negative. So in general, I just don't respond to anything. Like, because then once you respond to one thing, then you got to respond to everything. And like, this is going for positive and negative. Like, I feel like when I post anything, anyone who has an opinion has the right to respond. Like, I don't care what you say. Like, it is what it is. When it is negative feedback, I feel like honestly, I don't understand how people have the time to troll. I'm like, do you not have anything else to do? Because I don't even have time to read the comment. And like sometimes if somebody says something that's like kind of funny, I might laugh because it's like it's kind of funny. But honestly, I'm just like, I don't even think about you. Like I don't know you. You don't have any effect on my life at all. So like the fact that you're so incensed about some shit that I said on the internet really says a lot about your priorities and your happiness in life. And like, I don't know, maybe you should practice yoga. Like that would help. But honestly, like, I just don't feel like trolling is a worthwhile life activity. It's confusing to me. And it's helpful that like I was bullied as a kid, especially in middle school. And so I really got to understand at a young age that the reason people suck is because they hate themselves. And so when I see people like giving negative feedback, it's like, you just mad about something and you decided that you were going to like put that on me. And the beautiful thing is I don't need to look at what you said. So like, I'm good, you know, whatever.
Do you have someone that helps you with your social media account? Like, do you or is it just you?
No, it's just me.
Yeah, that's incredible.
It is it is the most. That's going to have to not be that way pretty soon, actually. But yeah, no, I do everything. I am my assistant. I am my manager.
Damn.
I am also me.
Wow. You're your own manager?
I mean, I have a literary agent and I have a brand agent who negotiate on my behalf, and I have a publicist. And
I love that. Hey guys, we interrupt this episode to bring you a word from our sponsor, Dame Products. All right, I've had a few vibrators in my day, and none have made me happier than Dame. They have two vibrators, the Eva and the Finn. One is for you personally, and one is for you and your partner. Dame Products is making the world a happier place, one vagina at a time. They were founded by smart women with the purpose of making phenomenal sex toys, and I can attest. By myself. Their continuing mission is to design well-engineered sex toys to heighten intimacy and to openly empower the sexual experiences of womankind.
Dame Products helps you take sexuality into your own hands, and we love how beautiful and discreet and well-made these products are. So you can either have the Eva, which is for yourself. It's hands-free external vibrator that can be worn during sex, or you can have the Finn, which is actually the one that you use by yourself. But feel free to play with both, dameproducts.com, and use the code almost30 for 15% off your vibrators, girls.
Yeah. And it's online. Like, you don't have to feel weird about going into a store buying a vibrator. And the site's beautiful. Yeah, it's great. So check it out.
It's made for you, girl.
Dameproducts.com, almost 30 code for 15% off. All right, guys, back to this episode.
Enjoy.
What has been moments during like these past few years where your following has really exploded that you've gotten an opportunity, you know, from either a brand or whatever it is? Have you just like taken a step back and been like, oh my God, you know?
Besides this conversation, you know?
Yeah, besides almost 30 podcast
recording.
So this experience,
obviously number one.
I try, and then like far number two, like way. I'm trying to remember now. Like I'm so bogged down in the minutia of like my day-to-day life that I have a lot of difficulty really taking the positives when they come, because I'm just it's actually something that I was like, I want to do better about this, like appreciating my moments of success. But let's see. I'm just going to pick a random one because I can't think of one thing that I was just like, damn, I am feeling myself on this day. Well, no, I can, but like, I just don't want to say those.
100%.
So a lot of brand related things have been dope, including some things that are happening right now that I can't talk about. But I was really happy the day that my book came out. That was a really big thing for me. I was like, I have always wanted to write a book, and I literally put on a vision board, like mapping out shit 3 years ago that I wanted to write my first book by the time I was 30. And that actually happened. I was like, it happened like 2 months before I turned 30. So I was just like, I'm very happy about that. And then also these are just things that have happened this year, but like when I was named as one of Fast Company's 100 most creative people of 2017.
Shut the fuck up.
I was like, well, the thing is, like, I have people all the time that are like, so how do you make money? Or like, how do you, like, at what work do
People
you
ask
do?
us
Or they're
that
like,
too.
oh, so yeah, exactly. Like, people are just like, they don't understand entrepreneurship.
Yeah, at all.
So I'm just like always explaining my job to people, and to have that actually acknowledged by Fast Company was dope.
Fuck yeah. I'm so proud of you. Yeah. It's funny. Sometimes when people ask me that, I'm like really kind and I'm like, okay, well, and then I'm like, and I like walk them through it. And then sometimes I'm like, I'm like, just like fucking annoyed about it. Like, honestly, it literally depends on my mood in the day of like all that, like, so, like, what is that? Like, I'm like, oh, do you want to know how I make money? Like,
yeah, that's.
No, exactly. Like, and because you don't ask people that. Like, I would never ask somebody, like, how does your career work?
Literally.
Like, how do you, like, so that I'm just always taken aback, like, wow, are we doing that now? Just asking people questions like that?
I'm like, and I should be like, yeah, well, like, I make, like, 14 grand per Instagram post. So, just like blow it the fuck up and make them be like weirded out. Tell us about your book. You mentioned it, but we'd love to talk about your book.
Oh, should I just start talking?
Yeah, dude, talk about your book. Girl, your manager should tell you that we need to talk about your book.
No, I was just like, I was waiting for a question.
Yeah. Can you please talk about your book?
Okay, cool. So Everybody Yoga, Let Go of Fear, Get on the Mat, Love Your Body is basically like my love letter to everyone who has ever wanted to practice yoga but felt like it wasn't going to be for them. And there's so many people who fit into this category. Like every single person has like some reason for why they think that they shouldn't be practicing. And I tell the story of how I started practicing yoga. I talk about different methods that people can utilize to start practicing. I go through the poses that I focused on when I first started practicing, and I give sequences that utilize all of those poses. And really though, the book is a memoir of why I started practicing yoga. And as time has gone on, I realized that like that seems to really be what resonates for people, not just people who have never practiced yoga or people who are at the beginning of their practice, but people who have been practicing yoga for decades see their story in my story.
I love that love letter.
Yeah, it's beautiful. What do you say to people who feel like you felt like when you first started yoga, where you said like you felt like you were kind of backed up against a wall and like you just stuck with it long enough to feel what was on the other side? What would you say to people feeling that way? It doesn't have to be yoga, but in that position.
I mean, it's a lot easier to say this when you're not in the eye of the hurricane, but I know that the only way to break out is to just do it. Like you're afraid to go, you're worried that something bad's going to happen. You had a traumatizing experience at like the fucking presidential fitness test in elementary school. I get it. I feel you. We get into these places where we just don't want to do things that are uncomfortable for us. Or, maybe you feel as though there's an injury or there's a piece of your body that's just not going to make it work. But the thing is, this practice is meant for literally any human being that is able to breathe. Like if you can breathe in and out, even if you have to use a machine to help you do it, you can do this practice and you just adapt it for where you are at that moment. And if you go into an experience that is maybe more advanced than what you're trying to do, or maybe the mobility of the other people, including the teacher, is different than you, then perhaps you have to just you have to adapt it for where you are at that moment. And maybe adapting it for where you are at that moment is not being in that particular class or that particular style of yoga or that teacher or whatever. And if that's the case, you just keep going, because there's a different style of practice for every single human being that walks this earth. And there is a form for you.
Yeah, I love that.
It's beautiful.
What are you excited about in 2018?
Oh, in 2018.
What you got, girl?
Oh my gosh. Oh, I thought you just meant in general.
Yeah.
I was thinking like, what shows are coming back in 2019? No, I'm trying to think like there's a lot of things happening next year. I'm excited for my podcast to come out. Actually,
Yes.
Fuck yeah.
where it's basically like I answer listener questions about yoga, but the yoga of real life. And I'll have my friends come on. We'll talk about like the different aspects of our intersectional identity that don't get discussed, like our relationships and what it means to be polyamorous, what's cheating, things that like I feel like as a queer person I never get to talk about. So I'm as a queer person in America. So I'm excited to do that. I'm excited for that to come out. I'm working on the follow-up to Everybody Yoga. So I'm excited about that. And in terms of, and then a bunch of things that I can't say, but I do, I'm also excited about hopefully turning 31. Because 31 is like a real age. You know what I mean? I feel like when you are 30 and under, people got some shit to say about every single year. They're like, oh, you're only 27, only 28, 29. I thought it would end at 30. It's still happening now. So I'm hopeful that like 31 is
the real deal. Well, you've accomplished so much. I mean, it's really so inspiring. Wait, what is the podcast called and when is it coming out?
We're still, I guess I should just go ahead and say, so we are just, it's with Stitcher and they have lots of different, it's just, there's a team now of people who have opinions about things.
Girl,
so
be careful.
But
you do you.
I want to say what it's going to be called, but just in the short term, you can just call it the Jessamyn Show. It's not
called Java with Jessamyn and Friends.
Why is that only just coming out now?
Sorry, girl. I've been sitting on that this whole podcast.
I thought so.
Okay, where can people connect with you? Where could they learn more? Where could they get your book? Tell us everything.
You can find everything about me, literally everything at JessamynsStanley.com. Even, oh my God, probably somehow it's connected that way. No, don't. Okay, so JessamynsStanley.com. You can find me on social media at my name is Jessamyn. On Twitter, on Twitter specifically, I'm JessMyJazz.
Awesome. And where can they find your book? On the website? Like it'd be easiest on your website.
You can find the book on my website, cool. But you can find like the links to get it. Cool. But you can find it anywhere the books are sold.
Oh, hell yeah. Can you believe that you live a life where you're telling people that your book is available anywhere books are sold?
Honestly, I'm just glad that it's anywhere the books are sold.
Yeah.
I don't even think, I'm just like, that's dope. When I pictured doing a book, I thought I'd be like photocopying shit at my house. So this is, it was definitely stuff.
It's the real deal. We're fucking pumped for you.
Yeah, so proud of you. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for making the time. We're so excited to share your story with our listeners. It's an important one to be told.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
Next time you're in LA, hit us up because I'd love to hang out.
Please.
Yeah, I'm actually there like weekend after.
Oh, really? No joke. Holler.
Literally, text us.
We'll find you.
Yeah, what part of LA are
We're West Side, like Santa Monica, Venice, but we could meet you anywhere.
We'll go wherever.
I was just in Santa Monica. Please, like it's like you didn't even want to hang out.
Sister.
Be safe out here, y'all. Have a good night or a good day.
Bye, babe.
Bye. Hey, Almost 30 Nation. Thanks so much for tuning in. We hope you loved this episode with Jessamyn Stanley. Please join our secret Facebook group. Let's start chatting about this episode. There's so much to unwrap here, and we want to hear from you. And if you haven't already, check out our Patreon page, patreon.com/almost30. You can donate a few bucks a month to get extra episodes, to get bonus content from Krista and I, as well as our Almost 30 Dad hat and other rad rewards. So check it out, patreon.com/almost30. Thanks so much to our producer, Chloe Money. Thank you to podcastmasters.net for editing our episodes. Thank you to our listeners who are just always so inspiring and making this show what it is on a weekly basis. So thank you guys so much. Please don't hesitate to write into us, DM us. We always read and we always respond. So we want to hear more from you. Who do you want to have on? What is important to you to talk about? We love you guys. We hope you are having a wonderful start to your holiday season, and we are with you every step of the way. Love you.